Hey guys, Mo here. Hope everyone is enjoying their Wednesday evening. Tonight's video is going to be in regards to an article here that I was sent late last night, early this morning, however you want to call it. It's in regards to Senate Bill S5, which is, for those of you who are not aware, that's the new regulation bill for vaping here up here in Canada. Now, these are talking points for the bill. I'm reading this right off my screen, so I apologize if you'd notice me looking at the screen and not at the camera. That is because I'm reading directly from my screen, and my memory is absolutely horrible. So basically, the short of this bill is the following. If this bill were to pass today, the regulations will be placed in the hands of the wrong people and will result in a complete shutdown of the industry, and the only remaining player would be Big Tobacco itself. Now, the authors of this, they put together a summary that addresses the major fallacies that they've identified within Senate Bill S5. So, just in point form here, the first one says, and I quote, "No person can state facts, cite studies, provide testimony, state public information, or make comparative remarks about the relative risks of vaping products compared to smoking." Now, they do define no person as anybody, any single person in Canada. Retail staff, manufacturers, consumers, guest speakers, random people that may read a study on the internet, or anyone else for that matter. Now, the problem with this not being able to make comparative comparisons between vaping and smoking about relative risks, that is very anti-health. It's anti-consumer. It's very pro-cigarette, and it is undoubtedly extremely unconstitutional. Now, this creates what's called deception by omission if we can't discuss the relative risks. And deception by omission is prohibited in the consumer protection laws. The inability to state published information publicly, it's basically protecting the tobacco companies. So, another point in this is the actual definition of vaping products. It's much too broad. They classify a vaping product as any part that may be used with those devices. So that makes every single battery a vaping product, every bottle of propylene glycol, every bottle of vegetable glycerin, every bottle of food grade flavoring. They would all be considered vaping products. However, it takes them one step further. Any 510 adapters, every lanyard, every beauty ring, every silicone protective skin, anything like that, they would all now be considered a vaping product. I don't know where they're getting that from, because I mean, a lanyard isn't a vaping product. It's not required to use an e-cigarette. It's an accessory that you can put on your e-cigarette to hang around your neck so that you don't drop it doesn't fall and smash. But it's not a necessity to use an e-cigarette. Throughout the bill, there are general restrictions to things like advertising, promotion, as well as what's allowed and not allowed based upon what might appeal to youth. Now, the problem with this is there are some things that can clearly be identified as being appealing to youth, but that line is majority of the time it's very, very blurry. There's no solid guidelines for what actually constitutes as any reasonable grounds for what appeals to youth. It's entirely a judgment call that changes from person to person. Um, you know, they also say that, youth, sales to youth are prohibited. Well, this is kind of an unwritten rule that's been from the get-go. I don't know about other provinces in Canada, but here in Nova Scotia, the legal age to buy alcohol or to buy tobacco cigarettes is 19. So even before the provincial government stepped in and passed Bill 60 in 2015, even before that, vape shops were not selling to people under the age of 19. So that's kind of, those restrictions on what might appeal to youth, they really have no merit because, youth are not allowed to purchase vapor products to begin with. And technically by law, you're considered an adult when you turn 18. So, we're not selling to minors, we're not selling to youth, we're not selling to anybody under the age of 19. So therefore, when they're 19 and they buy a vape product, they're an adult anyways, so that really shouldn't matter. Same thing with the whole banning of flavors because they might be attractive to children. From a public health perspective, really banning a few flavors that, a few youth might be attracted to, there's no solid guideline for really what's reasonable grounds of what appealing to youth actually means. It's entirely a judgment call. It will vary from person to person. Taste and smell are both subjective. So what I think smells or tastes like blueberries, you may think smells or tastes like Lysol. Just an example. Once again, the whole youth under 19 are not allowed to purchase vapor products anyways, so these whole flavors being too attractive to children, that really holds no merit, that argument. This bill also does not address vaping products as a harm reduction tool, nor does it address the HESA 3 recommendation, which is basically a recommendation to regulate electronic cigarettes with a view of protecting the health of Canadians. So every section of this bill is focused on the potential, and I quote, harms of vaping products, and ignores the relative risk compared to smoking. Okay, nothing recognizes a positive in the transition from smoking tobacco cigarettes to a less harmful product based upon that relative risk. With this, there's conflicts with the purpose of the bill, and everybody knows by now. With the best estimates, Public Health England, Royal College of Physicians, they've already come out and stated that vaping is in the range of 95% less hazardous than smoking cigarettes. I know that Health Canada, they said in a recent interview that they wanted to make sure that the information is available to Canadians. The positive information that, show, the relative risks and the harm reduction of e-cigarettes compared to regular tobacco cigarettes. They stated that they wanted that information to be available for the public, and that everybody should have access to that information so they can make an informed decision. But yet, they're then turning around and saying, no, you can't tell somebody that vaping is better than smoking cigarettes, even if you have scientific research to back that up. Now, the most absurd and most ludicrous thing out of all this of what I've seen so far is the penalties for violation of a number of these different sections in the bill. The violation is $500,000 or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years in a federal penitentiary, or both. So, if someone is in violation of one of these sections in this Senate S5 bill, if my girlfriend is walking down the road and she sees somebody smoking, and she just says, "Hey, you know what? Did you ever think about switching to vaping? It's a lot healthier. It's less harmful than smoking cigarettes." She could be charged $5,000 or face 2 years in jail, or worse, both. Those penalties are absolutely absurd. Now, I know that Bill S5, it currently is in the consultation phase, I believe. They're looking for feedback from people about their thoughts about what they've outlined in this bill. I encourage everybody out there to call, to email, to write with registered mail your local MPs, your local politicians, your mayors, even the provincial politicians, and even the federal politicians. You may think that one person may not make a difference, but believe me, strength in numbers, guys. If everybody takes the time to call, write, email, whatever the case may be, they're going to hear us one way or another. Now, the thing to keep in mind is when you are calling or writing an email or writing a letter, be professional. Don't go, dropping the F-bomb every word. Don't go, threatening or going on like a complete lunatic, because they're just going to ignore it, and then they're just going to say, this is what the vaping community is about, so, fuck them. Don't be going doing that, Tell them your story. Tell them, how vaping has helped you in a positive way. Tell them how vaping has helped your loved ones, your friends, your family members, the people around you, how vaping has helped them in a positive way. This is the type of stuff that they want to hear, Tell them, tell them your thoughts on certain parts of the regulations, such as, not being able to, communicate the relative risks compared from vaping compared to smoking. Voice your concern about, the whole banning of flavors to the minor, to the youth argument, about not being able to, vape inside of a vape shop, for testing purposes or whatever the case may be. Like I said, just please be professional about it. You'll get a lot further. That old saying, you get a lot more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. That's a very, very true statement, guys. On that note, I am going to end this video. I'm getting a little bit tired. It's been a long day. Before I go, I do want to give a shout out to Corey and Kat from down in Denver, Colorado. They own the Boosted Company. I want to give a shout out to them. Tonight I am vaping Boosted Breakfast, 3 milligram strength nicotine. This is it tastes like Fruit Loops with creamy milk. Great job, Corey and Kat. Your juice is amazing, like always. With that in mind, I'm going to leave you with a little bit of a cloud video, using my Velocity RDA with my dual Clapton builds, running around 0.29 ohms. You can see there at 110 watts. So please, guys, remember, take the time, write your politicians, you know, locally, provincially, and federally. You know, if we stand up, if we voice our opinion in a professional way, you know, we will be heard, and you know, you can definitely make a change. You just, you know, don't be afraid to do it. With that in mind, I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their evening. This video will be going up on Eastern Vapors Facebook group, as well as my YouTube channel, and on my personal Facebook page. I'll also be sending out a link. I'll also be putting a link to my YouTube page in the video, attached to the video as well. If you want to head over to my YouTube page, you can subscribe. I'll be posting videos there. Anytime I post videos, going to Facebook and to YouTube. So with that in mind, here's some clouds. Boosted breakfast. Corey and Kat, once again, like I said, amazing job. Love you guys. Keep up the good work. And vape on. Take care, guys.